What you see happening right now in Colorado will happen across the nation, especially in the cities, especially in these liberal areas. Now today we're going to be talking about how this should be a prerequisite of a sign to show this is why we protect ourselves. This is why we defend ourselves. This is why we want to protect our homes. Because when we allow our borders to be wide open, then we're going to live with the repercussions of that. And that's exactly what is happening. Now we're going to dive a little deeper in this Aurora, Colorado situation, something that we talked about a few days ago. But it's not getting better. It's actually fixing to get a whole lot worse. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Also remember, we're going to be doing the giveaway at the end of this video for the Prepper's Bar from Genesis Gold. Remember, this is something that we all should have. Bartering goods, things that matter to us as we go through a crazy, chaotic world. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be doing the giveaway in just a few moments, but let's talk about Aurora, Colorado. Now, if you remember, just last week we talked about the situation with the Venezuelan immigrants that have taken over this complex. Now here's the problem, first and foremost. We're allowing this to take place, and guess what? They're in an area that has a pretty heavy restriction on 2A rights. So how does an illegal have the wherewithal and the capabilities to carry this magazine-loaded thing? This self-defense tool that supposedly is restricted and you can't have. Especially as someone who just come across our country border that wasn't even supposed to be here. So when Trump says, they're letting their worst come across our border, that's exactly what happens. This is a Venezuelan gang that has now taken over this complex and is raining havoc on its people. Now, not only do you see the fact that you have illegals who have defense tools, the police, the politicians, they're all like, no, this is under control. This is no big deal. It's not a big deal. So you have the media and the politicians lying to you. If it wasn't for citizen journalists and independent journalists and probably X, you would know nothing about it. But this is what's coming to a city near you. Why? Because what we're doing is allowing our border to be open to allow these people in to say they're not wanting to contribute to society. All they're wanting to do is cause havoc. You know why Venezuela and some of these areas, these third world countries are getting better? Is because they're letting their jails out into our areas. That is a proven fact. Go back and look at some of the things this went on. So now what's going to happen is this. You have this Venezuelan gang who is now taking over this complex. There is new footage from different camera angles in Colorado where there is people walking around with the self-defense tools that is now known to probably be this gang, allegedly, walking around into people's neighborhoods and stealing stuff from people. Now, they're carrying these self-defense tools and they're going in massive parties, so therefore, everyone's scared to do anything and they're just doing what they want to do. Now, here's where it becomes an issue. First and foremost, let's talk about the individual, and then we're going to talk about the repercussions of what's happening. So individually, you know why I tell you to have extra brass? You know why I tell you to have the extra magazines? This reason right here. This is a restrictive, heavy, liberalized area that pushes against having 2A rights. But now the illegals have it. They're not following the laws, so that means I'm supposed to just let them have it and let them do what they want to do and just not take care of my stuff. So this is why, this is not an ad, but this is why I talk about the things like the Doorcade, the things that go across your door to keep you safe. This is why I talk about having the extra magazines. This is why I talk about having the extra window screens and the door coverings, because you have to defend your home. If you're in the cities, you're crazy for not having extra defense. Now, most cities tell you that they're protecting you. Do you honestly believe that they're protecting you? Look at what the police are doing in Aurora. They've allowed this to take place. The politicians have allowed this to take place. Now, we're not going to talk about the fact of Baltimore telling their citizens there's parts of the city at certain times they're not going to go around in. There's places in Chicago that they're not going to go around in after dark. So those cities are going to have the same problems because what we've seen is a lawless a lawless city, basically, and lawless cities because we've allowed for laws to be broken to allow people into our cities, to give them sanctuary, to ultimately not assimilate, but to basically take over. You don't believe this Aurora, Colorado thing is not going to get bigger? So not only are we seeing the problems, and not only are we seeing people who can defend themselves because they have no tools, because they depend on the city to take care of them, and all the enforcement, and their tax dollars goes to pay the police to watch over them, and it's not happening. So two things are going to happen. Well, first of all, you're going to see a citizen-style repercussion. Now, there's reportedly and allegedly a group of Hell's Angels heading that way. Now, they're not going to have cupcakes with them. They're going to take that building back. So what's going to happen is because you have bad leadership, you're going to have people take it into their own hands. You're going to have a situation where now you have two gangs who are not the most humbled, good people that are going to basically be fighting it out in this city. Now, the question is, are the Venezuelan gang or anyone's going to surrender before this takes place? The question is, why are we allowing the police not to go in with some kind of SWAT or some kind of situation and take this building? And here's the thing. If citizens are not going up and taking care of their stuff, then all of a sudden you have this rival gang that's now going to come in and do something, and the police are not doing anything. The next step is what? Military? Oh, so we're going to bring in martial law because things didn't get done. Now let's think about this. This is exactly what we talked about with the cities in panic. Cities go in panic. Cities are doing stupid things by allowing people in. People can't defend themselves because they don't have the needs. Other people come in and cause more of a panic because now you have two rival gangs who, one may have the best interest at heart for America, but ultimately it is two groups going against each other, and people, the innocent people, are now held right between them because it's their buildings, it's their homes, and then the only option you have left is bringing a National Guard, which means that is called martial law. Now, conservatives are guilty of this. They'll say, well, we might as well bring in the military and do something about it. No, it should have never got to this point. So this is exactly the slippery slope when I say that that's what Democrats want. They want you to say, well, we've allowed it to go bad, even though it's the Democrats' fault. These people keep getting elected. They keep allowing people to not enforce the law. So then, therefore, when it gets bad enough, it allows them to over-regulate a situation and say, well, look, this is why we have to have more control of 2A rights because of this situation, which means nothing because if a criminal is breaking across our border and their lawlessness is already shown, I doubt they're going to follow the law when it comes to not having a certain style magazine or a certain style self-defense tool, But the law-abiding Americans are the ones that actually get hurt, and they can't pretend, but they can't defend themselves. So now the rival gangs coming in. So now are we going to have an all-out war in Aurora or Denver, Colorado? You know who I blame in this? The politicians, the government. This is why I cannot yet understand why cities that are in complete and utter chaos, like New York, like Chicago, like Denver, all these big metropolitan areas, they keep allowing the same people to be elected, the same leadership to be elected, to ultimately allow for their cities to go into utter chaos. This would not happen in my town. It wouldn't. It would not. And for most rural towns and cities that are especially ran by Republican-style leadership, this would never happen. This would never happen. This comes down to the sanctuary cities. What if all of a sudden we started seeing more of this across the cities that they've allowed millions of migrants to? Remember, we allowed military-age men to come in. We didn't allow for women and children. We say that. Democrats say that, but actually what they did is they allowed for military-age men who now have capabilities of finding self-defense tools, because that's just how it works, to now take over our cities. I don't know if you've seen a lot of these dystopian films, but most of them start off this way, where cities start to fall. You know what I've figured out? That if a terror attack needs to happen in America, it does not take one catastrophic event. What if all of a sudden you saw this happen in 20 or 30 cities? What would actually happen? You'd either have many little wars going across our cities, or you'd have martial law come in because the cities are being overrun. Is this what we want in America? Do we actually believe this administration is doing what you want? The border czar is now running for president, and she's done nothing about this but allow 20 million people in. Nancy Pelosi admitted to the fact that she knows millions are here, and she says she'd be willing to give amnesty to them. Allow them to vote. So what you're seeing in Colorado will happen, will completely keep on happening in the bigger cities. Did you see the fact that, crime is running rampant? Look at Chicago. Look at San Francisco. Just last few days, the first round draft pick for San Francisco, the guy gets shot in broad daylight in the city. This guy's life, at least it's spared, but his whole career probably is ruined, all because of not safe cities. This is ridiculous that we're allowing this to happen. It's amazing that just like this week, I'll be honest with you, we were coming back. Me and my wife went on an overnight stay. We came back, was not driving fast, was not driving crazy, driving down a road, and we get pulled over. Now, the guy didn't give me a ticket, but I'm thinking, why is this policeman pulling me over when he could be doing more important things? They busted 2 or 3 different people in our state trying to traffic people in these big white vans, and here they are worried about me. And I was not speeding. They actually told me I was going 3 miles over the speed limit. Come on. And they're worried about that or my seatbelt, but we're allowing our cities to falter. So when I see police sitting at traffic stops, or I see them in speed traps, it infuriates me. Because I'm thinking, if we're going to have policemen, and yes, people should not be speeding and breaking the law, they shouldn't be driving reckless, but what's more important is, what about these apartment buildings? What about our streets with chaos and theft and stealing and murder going on in our cities and in our areas? Now they're starting to maneuver into smaller areas too. Why are we allowing crime to run rampant? So there's a thought pattern here. The solution is you go in there and you handle the business. You go in there with either SWAT or you go in there with some kind of capabilities and you take this area back over. If you need the military to come in, you've went too far anyway. But if they're going to come in, you better go ahead and handle the situation so you prove that this is a precedent. We are not going to allow this to happen in our cities. They've allowed this to happen after the first day. They should have handled the situation. I would say that the police department, the sheriff department, the county, the politicians in this area, they should all be fired for allowing this to take place, to not handle the situation. How many innocent people are in this complex? Now, they keep denying that this is happening. However, citizen journalists and independents are saying this is happening. Why have they done nothing about it? Why are we allowing another gang to come in, Hell's Angels? And again, kudos for them to at least step up and be proactive and trying to say we're going to handle the situation. Sadly, it shouldn't come down to people doing that. We live in a first world country. But when the leadership is allowing for lawlessness to happen on our borders, to cross in, to cause panic in our cities, and they're worried about putting our opposition party, the former president, in lawfare, then they're actually not worried about the American people. They want to overtax you and then not take care of you. That's exactly what's happening with this administration. So now, 2 things will happen. Either you'll have all-out chaos in Aurora, like it's happening with this rival gang coming in, or you're going to see the police or National Guard do their jobs. Sadly, the police should have already done their jobs, and if the National Guard comes in, are we going to set a policy and precedent to say, this is normal, we need martial law everywhere in the cities. We need curfews everywhere in the cities. We need to control people everywhere in the cities. Remember, the people of America, the good, honest citizens, are not the one breaking the law, but they're the ones that will get the law put on them. They're the ones that will get the restrictions and the regulations put on them. Because if someone is breaking the law and they're criminals and they come across our border illegally, do you honestly believe they're going to follow the law now? You allowed them to break it to get in here. So what you're going to see is what Colorado is what California is going to be, what New York is going to be, what Texas is going to be, what all these other liberal cities are going to be, even in conservative states. When you have these liberal cities, this is what's going to happen, because the policies they've put in to accept all these people is going to backfire on them. Now, this Venezuela situation, they're not even quote unquote a terrorist. What about all the people we've let in from the Middle East? What if they start standing up with arms? What's going to happen then? This is coming to a city near you. Sadly, the police may not be there. Look at the people in Aurora. The police ain't there. Look at the people that in Baltimore and Chicago, and they said that there are certain parts of the streets that are not protected because there's not enough police. There's a shortage. So it's coming to a city near you because we have politicians that we keep electing and putting there. Now, personally, I didn't elect, and you didn't elect if you're in these rural areas, but if you're in these cities and you keep thinking it's going to get better because I keep electing the same people, and they keep lying to me and spewing garbage out of their mouth about the lies of how they're going to help the city, and it's the Republicans' fault and Trump's fault. 12 of the last 16 years have been led by Democrats in America. The best years we had was 2016 to 2020. Go back. Do your research. I don't care if you're a Trump person or a Democrat. Go back and look. 12 of the last 16 years have been ran by Democrats. Look at every city in America. Every liberal big city in America. Every one of them has been ran by Democrats. And guess what? Not one of them are actually in good shape. And so they want to blame Trump. They want to blame the Republicans, but actually what you're doing is you keep electing the insanity to keep taking place. And now you are basically electing the people that's going to ruin your own city and cause you to be unsafe. So if I was you, if you lived in cities, or you live in these areas, even if you don't live in cities, to prepare, you need to make sure you have door mechanisms and door locks and extra covers, that you have cameras because no one else is believing this other than the cameras that are catching it, that you have defense and extra magazines and you have brass, that you're watching over your home. I have 6 kids and a wife. I have a farm. I have a home. You think I'm just going to lackadaisically just allow the government to be the ones to protect it? I hope they do. But like I told you in yesterday's video, the most important people in my life are my family. The one that's going to do the most for my family is me, not the government. So if I'm going to look out for myself, I'm going to start by taking care of myself and start preparing myself for this. Because even though it may not come to South Mississippi, it may. It may be coming to a city near you, so you better be prepared. What is happening in Aurora is going to keep on happening because we've allowed for laws to be broken to come across this country and across this border to then allow the cities to take them in, all for the fact that they want their votes and they want their new representation in Congress. They want the census numbers. And you, as the American citizen, are the one that will be overregulated, taken advantage of, just like you've been, and also maybe in the crosshairs of a major gang war. Be careful. Keep forms of protection around and prepare yourself for the aurora that's coming to you. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this video. I hate to talk about hard stuff, but I'm going to end on a good note because I want to give away this silver prepper bar to one of our subscribers. Again, every month we give something away. I'm going to be giving away some awesome self-defense things this next month for September. So please make sure you are subscribed and you're commenting. We take all those names and randomly select. So the winner of the August Prepper Bar from Genesis Gold is Lantana Hill Homestead 5548. Lantana Hill Homestead 5548. If you will reach out to us via email, just email us, we will get this information of yours and get it sent to you. Thank you guys so much for just always watching us. The point of what we do is to help you, just like this Aurora situation. I wish I was telling you that everything is cupcakes and rainbows and that this world is getting better, and I hope it does. But if we don't know, and we're not wise, and we're not seeking common sense approaches to the crazy world that we live in and electing people who actually care for us, then we're going to see this to keep on happening. So thank you so much for watching. Again, Lantana Hill Homestead 5548. Please reach out to us via email. We want to get this prepper bar to you. We'll send it via mail, of course, insured. And then again, guys, remember, you're always entered in these giveaways. It takes no money to be entered. All it takes is you subscribing to the channels, and we will get you entered in the giveaways. Again, I have an awesome holster and kind of modern need survival kit that's going to be It's going to be giveaway for September, so please make sure you are entered in the giveaways. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.